But the
But
thing is,
this family
I know.
is a bunch of fucking morons. They're writing diaries about showering with their dad. That's got a fucking.
That's actually that
It's
sounds
hashtag
true.
facts.
That's true.
You got a doctor who isn't a doctor claiming she's a doctor.
You got
a crazy son.
You got a crack-addled son.
Crack addict son who's leaving his laptop in places. He probably didn't even know where he was.
Yeah.
Welcome to Men of the Times. On this episode, we're talking about Biden and all of the bribery that has been going on in his neck of the woods, in his family, that nobody knows about. Well, we know about it, and we're talking about it because it's the Times. Let's get into it.
And the reports from those congressmen and women who have seen it are absolutely alarming. That this trusted source went to the FBI and said Joe Biden took $5 million, Hunter Biden took $5 million from Ukraine back when Joe Biden was vice president. Why did they do it? Because Hunter had this appointment to the Burisma board, this energy company, even though Hunter knew nothing about energy, and that Burisma was getting investigated by this anti-corruption prosecutor in Ukraine. Burisma didn't like that. Burisma wanted that prosecutor to go away. Hunter Biden allegedly said, it might help you making this case if you would buy a U.S. energy company. And so they allegedly did that via some company in Canada that had stock in an American company. Anyway, the evidence is allegedly that they were listening to Hunter. And then they allegedly paid Hunter and Joe $10 million total. And that, lo and behold, Joe Biden fired that prosecutor. He made it such that the Ukrainians had to fire that prosecutor. And we know Joe Biden did make that happen. He's admitted that he made that happen. He denies that it was because of an influence peddling scheme. They bragged that the way Biden wanted the money distributed was that it would be through so many banks that it would take investigators 10 years to track the money. And that it was, but that House Oversight is looking into all of it, getting subpoenas for these banks and trying to uncover this. They say they've already uncovered the 10 million. And Comer said last night, I would say the number could top out at 20 million. There is damning evidence that the sitting president of the United States sold out his country in an ongoing bribery scheme. The American people and media deserve to see the evidence. We should follow the facts. Here's the last piece of it. Joe Biden was asked about her saying that at the White House, outside of the White House yesterday, and here is how he answered.
The bribery allegation, Congresswoman Nancy Mace says there's damning evidence in the FBI file that you sold out the country. Do you have a response to the congressional Republicans?
Where's the money? I'm joking.
Mr. President,
it's a bunch of malarkey.
Well, that's disturbing.
Where's the money? That's why we're asking, Joe.
Well, yeah,
That's why we're asking.
And,
where is the money?
I have a feeling.
What did you do with it?
I have a feeling that the reason that you're asking that is because, as this report states, you wanted it to be washed through so many banks they could never find it.
Right.
And now, and this is coming on top of, it was revealed, I think about 2 weeks to a month ago, again by the GOP House Oversight Committee, that they have bank records of 20 shell companies, shell LLCs, that didn't actually have a product or a service that was attached to them, that $10 million from, this is Ukraine, but from China was being washed through these companies and distributed amongst various Biden family members, including 2 grandchildren. This is 100 times worse than Watergate.
Yeah.
This is by far the biggest political scandal in American history.
Maybe. There's a lot of other.
Well,
Let's just put it this way. All of the things that have happened really in like the last 8 to 10 years are the biggest scandals that ever happened in American history.
Yeah, but the thing is, the scandal...
Russiagate bullshit nonsense. This now. God knows what else is going to come out.
There's a difference.
This or the Russiagate hoax.
Yeah.
Either one of them is kind of...
But for me...
Although this is pretty...
This is pretty bad.
I mean, a sitting president having taken bribes, but it's not when he was president, it was when he was vice president. But nevertheless, a vice president taking for pay to play.
Bribes.
The other thing is like
Bribes.
you have to understand.
Bribes.
I mean, you have to understand that there's probably a lot of people that end up taking money for access and stuff. I think it's pretty evident that the Clintons were definitely doing it through their foundation,
Yeah.
but you don't hear anything about that
No.
because they're Democrats.
I mean, they sold Biden in 2020 as this.
We're all going back to
Tonight.
normal.
Mhm.
Do 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 do. We're all going back to
And
normal.
they sold.
Men can have babies.
What?
Your president takes money from China.
We're going back to normal.
We're going
Back
to
to
normal.
normal.
Do.
It's just they sold him on your empathetic, kind, caring.
Grandpa's here to come with gifts.
Yes. They sold him as being this kind, empathetic, caring, beautiful. What's the word I'm looking for? In grandpa with integrity.
Look at this little old man. Look
And-
at him. Doesn't he look like a nice little old man?
Yes.
The little old man's here to help you, young
But
person.
see, you know, but
Listen to the nice little old man.
But the difference is, you want to know the
Yeah.
difference? You want to know the difference?
Hmm.
They sold Biden in 2020 as being this kind, caring, empathetic grandpa who is the absolute epitome of integrity.
Mm.
And he is literally none of those things.
Nope.
Nope.
He's got so many receipts.
Yes,
There's
he
so many
does!
receipts
This-
of everything he's saying
oh,
now,
God.
and just like a couple decades ago, it being the exact. Well, people are allowed to change their opinions. They're allowed to change their opinions. Bruh.
The thing
Yeah.
is, people used to give him a pass on this pathological lying because it was mainly harmless and kind of funny. But now there's actually like some serious consequences to it, in which he basically used. It's become more and more apparent that he basically used his political career to just make absolutely millions of dollars for him and his family that he had no right in earning.
This is, I mean,
How does he afford the lifestyle
with the evidence
he
with the
has?
evidence that they apparently have collected and everything else. I mean, this really is the biggest example of obvious corruption
Yeah.
by a oligarchical American family,
Yes.
aristocratic,
Mm-hmm.
if you will, in a way, and everybody is trying to cover it up.
Yeah.
And nobody's talking about this
Yeah.
except nobody's saying anything. Nobody's looking into this. Nobody's investigating it except certain factions. The other factions don't even look at it at all.
No, they won't. They won't even admit that there could be something there.
They don't even
They
admit
won't.
that it
They won't even acknowledge it.
It's like it's an imaginary
And
person.
Yes, yeah, and that's really at the core of what's wrong with America today. Is that America?
I think
really
the problem is we just don't live in reality.
Well, no.
Where's the reality? anymore?
America, as John Adams, personally my favorite founding father, as John Adams himself states,
Maybe one of the best founding fathers.
Yeah.
Honestly, he did more than anybody and got no credit.
the,
And nothing but shit thrown at him.
Yeah, but the rule of law matters the most, and law being applied blindly. And right now in the United States, it's pretty clear the law ain't being applied blindly, and that it is being weaponized against.
Oh no, the
He
law is
should
being
not been
applied
hanged.
with a microscope
Yeah, it's just it's
on certain organisms.
our current president, Joe Biden, had classified documents in the trunk of his Corvette.
Mm.
And nothing happens to him. His son
Nothing is happening.
drops off his laptop in a crack-addled stupor, forgets to pick it up, and then is surprised when apparently the New York Post, a major American newspaper, reports on it. and then Twitter shuts down the story. But the
But
thing is,
this family
I know
is a bunch of fucking morons.
This-
They're writing diaries about showering with their dad. They've got a
That's actually that's out
it's
there. That's
hashtag
true. That's
facts.
true.
You got a doctor who isn't a doctor claiming she's a
Yes.
doctor.
You got a
You got a crazy son.
you got a
who's-
crack addled son.
Crack addict son who's leaving his laptop in places. He probably didn't even know where he was.
Yeah. They're
These are the people that other people are protecting because they are literally the easily manipulated thing. And it's all okay. It's all because they just want to be able to do what they want to do without having to have to worry about anybody in the most powerful position in the world saying anything,
yes.
saying Dicola,
Yep.
because he can't even form sentences, let alone words anymore.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to excuse me.
But this is a difference in the times. In 1988, the fact that Joe Biden plagiarized a speech by RFK, whose son he's now running against, and Neil Kinnock, probably one of the worst leaders of the Labour Party in the 20th century history of British politics, that used to be enough for people to be like, nah, brah, you're out. Now, crack-addled son being the bagman for a criminal enterprise, no problem. Just get rid of Trump. We don't care if they're running a huge bribery pay-to-play scheme. We don't care. Just get rid of Trump. And it's just like, America, like, where have your standards gone?
Hell, it's just one big magic trick. Pay no attention to what's over here. Well, I pull off the actual trick over here.
And again, I get why people don't like Trump. I personally don't think
He shall not be named.
he should not be named. I personally think he
Bad
should.
orange man.
I think he shouldn't be the next president. But this family, bro, this Biden family, like, damn.
I would like both of them
to just
to
go
go
away.
away.
But when he says, "Where's the money?" it channels right into the report that they had it hidden by all these paywalls, and you couldn't find the money. And Joe Biden is expressing confidence that you're never going to find it. I dare you to
So
find
true.
it after we set
Good
up
point.
all of these fake companies. But there's two or three things that I don't think anybody quite understands about this. The first is what Christopher Wray, he's stonewalling. And I guess he initially thought that he was Eric Holder and Fast and Furious, where the left just says, you know what, I'm not going to obey a Republican subpoena. But they blew that up, as they do with all the institutions, when they went after Steve Bannon and convicted him and sentenced him
Yes.
to refusing a congressional subpoena. So he should have known that now there's a new precedent. You don't do that, even if you're the FBI director. The second thing I don't understand is that this two-page document wasn't classified. So why was he so paranoid about protecting it and didn't want any of it out and kept denying that even it existed for a while, or that he lost it or he couldn't find it, when people I think Grassley knew that it was there. So the sheer eagerness or paranoia or obsession, fixation with not producing it suggests that he was very worried about anybody getting access to this. And then the third is, when they talk about these millions, 5 million to Hunter, 5 million to Joe, and perhaps more, and they say, Joe says, show me the money, but this is not hard to find. Joe Biden was vice president in 2009. He exited office in January of 2017. Then he had 4 years as a private citizen. He's got about 10 years. He filed tax returns, and all they have to do is look what he reported and then get an IRS investigator and said, this is how he lived, or these are the homes he bought, or this is the expenses that we can document, and they don't match up. And so that's very stupid when people screw with the IRS and they say, show me the money, or, when they don't report large amounts of income and they think the IRS cannot calibrate their expenditures. And so I think that it's a very easy thing to find out if they get the power to trace down all of Joe Biden's bank accounts, all of his deposits, and then the type of huge expenditures for houses or other things that he purchased or he gave money to Hunter. And we know that's true because Hunter is facing from all the leaks, serious IRS exposure. And it's based on the fact that they feel that he hasn't reported income commiserate of the type of money that he was spending. And so I think it's demonstrable, and that may explain why Ray was so scared to release that, because he thought it might be explosive enough to bring down a president.
Explosive enough to bring down a president.
And they want to do everything they can
Mm-hmm.
to ensure he's still around,
Yep.
so that they have a
Buffer.
they have a bunch of tofu to go up against something very, very hot, very spicy. If you eat it, you might die. You might not die, but who's to say? If you eat this spicy, it's orange. It looks weird. It's got some weird stuff on top of it that we don't know. If we eat it, we could die. But here is tofu. It's bland, it's boring, you're not gonna die. You're gonna eat it, and which you hadn't, but you're gonna go on living. That's what we've got.
Oh, the question that America is going to face in 2024 is, you've been warned. The tofu you've been offered, bland, boring, comfortable tofu, does have a core of steaming pile of dog shit. Are you really willing to eat it again?
There's also gonna be
Okay.
there's also a bunch of people around the tofu looking at you to make sure you choose it, and then playing with the tofu before you eat it.
See, the
Oh, it's not that
The-
funny,
the-
but
the-
to
the-
me, just the thought of
it
people.
tickled. I know. See, but the thing is, what Victor Davis Hanson described there quite well is what the Biden family are becoming is a symbol of what everyone in America kind of knows, kind of really goes on in Washington, which is you get a lot of these politicians who go into different positions, whether that be congressmen or women or senators or
That's
into
how dare you gender
okay,
Congress.
or into various branches of FBI,
Congress people.
CIA, whatever, and they have these government salaries, but somehow, some way, a lot of these politicians seem to be able to afford like 2 or 3 luxurious mansions across the country, and everyone kind of wonders, how can you possibly afford that on a government salary? And that is the questions the IRS is actually asking Hunter Biden right now, is like, what you reported on your tax returns, like, doesn't actually compute in any shape or form to the amount of money that your family is spending.
Again, it goes back to what I said originally. We all know this happens. We all like to complain about it, but we don't like it actually shoved in our face when it's actually true.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
like we kind of like just again having the mystique of knowing that it's happening, but not actually knowing or seeing and proving that
But
it's
we
actually
kind of
happening.
just slyly accept that it goes on in the darkness.
Right, and
We get it,
it's
yeah.
a necessary evil, and this is why we all get to collectively hate politicians, but they're a necessary evil because we still want to feel like we have choice, and then we just bitch about all the other ones, and we don't actually. Most of the people aren't actually going to do it. That's what happened. But now we have the most blatantly obvious information that this is the case with the highest person of office and his entire family, and they're trying to obfuscate it from the American public as long as
Yes.
possible. Get him back in power so the people actually doing the puppeteering can continue to do the puppeteering. That's all this really is. It's just the puppet masters trying to make sure the puppet doesn't crack and disintegrate in front of them before they can finish their show. Yeah, let us know what you think about the bribery. Is it one for thee and not for the other? Do you think this is bad? Do you think we should all just pipe down and keep quiet? Let us know your thoughts about all of this, because this is what's happening. This is pretty significant. It's very important for our country and the world. If there was a president of the United States who actually was committing bribery, all the people that were giving the bribes would be like, oh no, we have to be very careful next time.
We can't
Uh,
offer his son a seat on the board
Yeah,
this
there's like a
time.
note and file. Don't give it to the son unless we know they're not an idiot. I mean, good lord. Anyway,
Oh,
this is what's
God.
happening in our times, and we cannot stop talking about them because we are men of the times, and we invite you to come along those times with us because we are excited to see you next time.